Keith Andrews, what's up, friend? How are you?
What's going on, Stu?
Well, do you have a good Halloween? Do you get lots of candy? Do trick or treating? All the
We
fun stuff?
had, well, we didn't go trick or treat. I didn't go trick or treating. My
What?
son, no, my wife and I stayed home, and my son went out with all his friends and came back with like this huge garbage bag full of candy, which is now reduced to about 25 pieces.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we just stayed home. We had like literally just two trick-or-treaters here. We live up in the mountains a little bit, and no one goes down our street. It's dark and
Yeah.
it looks scary.
Nice, man. I was joking with my wife. I was like, whose idea was it to just let kids run around the neighborhood, knock on random doors of strangers and ask for candy and then just like eat candy all night long? Like, what kind like that doesn't even
I
sound right.
know. It's just a horrible thing. Like
Yeah.
everything about it is just bad.
Well, let's get into it, man. So we've known each other for a while, and you're just down in Colorado Springs and just doing some really cool stuff in real estate. But you're prior military, and so you're part of the Military Investor Network, and super pumped that you are a part of it because you offer a ton of advice and you have a ton of knowledge and experience. And so let's get into it, man. Just if you could give us a little bit of background about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I guess for starters, I grew up in a pretty rough environment. My parents separated when I was two. My mom had me like literally right out of high school, was on welfare, food stamps, and just really struggling. And with that came various boyfriends and whatnot. She eventually married my stepfather when I was 8, and that brought some stability. They were able to buy a house, but that only lasted for like a year. And he lost his job, started drinking. So my childhood, all I really remember is just moving from one rental to the next rental to the next rental, and just my mom like always struggling. Are we gonna be able to have the lights on? This kind of thing. Growing up with that mice in the house running around, me cleaning up the mouse traps, and that was my childhood, and it was rough. But thankfully, I had a grandma, a former Marine at that, um,
Nice.
that stepped in, and she didn't have much, but she put down a small down payment on a duplex, and that allowed us to live in one side, and we had a tenant on the other side that basically covered most of the mortgage. So this really allowed my mom to get on her feet, got off of welfare, got a good job, went through a drafting program sponsored by welfare, ended up getting her bachelor's degree, and I watched her just climb the ladder and really work hard. But that duplex really played a key role in my life. It was like I learned early on like the stability it provided, but not only that, later on when I got into my later teenage years and my grandma retired, that was her retirement. Like
That's
that
awesome.
we weren't living in it anymore, but that duplex became her retirement payment. And she didn't have a 401k. She didn't have any of these other things. She had Social Security in that duplex. That was it.
That's awesome.
Um, and so that like kind of a light bulb went off in my head.
Mm,
And but unfortunately, because of my rough childhood, I found myself in a lot of bad situations. And I was a teenage father, started off really young, basically following the same path my mom did.
mm.
Um, and I was forced to, figure things out. Like I did not want my child to grow up the way I did. I wanted to provide stability. And I had a friend who had joined the army like literally right out of high school. And at this point, I'm like 21 years old. He just commissioned over, so he went to the Green to Gold program. And
Nice.
he was married, had a kid, bought a house. He was a little older than me, at like 23 years old. And I was like, what? Like, how are you doing all these things? And he's like, the army. And I'm like, but I can't join the army because I have a kid, right? That's what I
That's your
thought.
mindset.
And I had
Yeah.
some college. I was, as I was doing, hard labor jobs and just everything else to just kind of get on our feet. My girlfriend at the time, she was still in high school, and I was working, and we had this little baby. So like I really had to figure things out hard. And so I went to the Army recruiter, and he was like, I said, I want to be a lieutenant like my friend. And he was like, great, sign up. And then, once you get in, you can switch over to green to gold right away. And you can, he made it sound like I was just going to join in and they were going to pin me lieutenant by the time I graduated basic training.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, easy, easy stuff. So I'm like, okay, this is it. And so I went in, and I was like, I don't care what job I have. I just want to get in the door, right? So I ended up going in as a 63 hotel, which is a track vehicle repair. And the moment after basic training and AIT, I get to my first duty station. The moment I get there, they're deploying to Kuwait. Then, after that rotation, it was, NTC, JRTC, field training after field training, like absolutely no time to get the 60 units that I was shooting for. Because at that time I figured out, like, in order to do this OCS thing, like this green to gold, I need 60 units. I need to put in the packet. But that was like my intention. And
Mm,
so I luckily, by God's grace, got selected to be this instructor for this DS Plus program. Basically, what they were doing is they were rebuilding, or they were teaching soldiers and foreign service members how to rebuild the AGT 1500 engine that's in the M1 Abrams tank. So I
okay.
got a slot there where I literally was working 9 to 3 o'clock. Like I wasn't even doing PT. It was like my boss was a civilian. And so all I was doing was training soldiers and foreign service members, so I had plenty of time to go to school. So I did that, and at that time I was stationed here at Fort Carson, okay, and I started going to Pikes Peak, trying to knock out those 60 units that I needed. And along the way, I took a few networking courses, computer networking courses, and at the same time, my stepbrother that was in California had just landed a job in the computer networking space, making $100,000 a year. And this is back to 2001, okay,
Yeah.
ish, making $100,000 a year plus stock benefits, everything else. Like his stock benefits was making him more than his salary. Let's just say that. And I'm like, whoa, like, and he didn't even have a degree. Like, I'm like, how did you get this job? And he's like, oh, I have a Cisco certification. I'm like, well, I need to get a Cisco certification. Let me look into
Yeah.
this route. Maybe I don't want to stay in the Army. So long story short, I went home on leave and met up with him. He took me into his job. I met with his manager, and his manager liked me, and he was like, dude, I'll hire you. Like, when do you get out of the Army? And I'm like, well, man, I have like another year left at this point. But he's like, dude, I have a job here for you. Like, once you get out. And so I was like, okay, went back, totally changed everything for me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go this path. So that's what I did. I got out of the Army, and at this time I had 3 kids. Okay.
Okay.
Got out of the Army, got into high tech, used the GI Bill to get my bachelor's degree, climbed the corporate ladder, and by 2012 I was, a senior VP for a telecommunications company and just traveling all over the world. I was, in Asia and Europe and just all over the US, just constantly traveling. And my kids had grown up, right? They'd grown up while I'm just working in a way. And I'd gotten a divorce, married my wife now in 2009. She had kids, I had kids. We had the Brady Bunch thing going on. I had a great job, great income, but had a lot of mouths to feed. And we were stuffed in that in our house, but it was good from a financial standpoint. We were good, but I was still dependent on this job that I had, right? And it was
Mm,
taking a lot out of me. And in 2012, we had a son together, and that's where like I really like took a step back and looked at my life and was like, I am just constantly working, working, working. My kids are growing up. I missed so much of their childhood. Now I have this new one that was just born. I want to be there for him.
mm.
What can I do different? Like, and that's when I went back to my grandma, and I'm like, my grandma bought that duplex and she's like living off that one property right now. That's like her retirement. And it all started clicking, and that's when I read this book. by Dustin Heiner called How to Quit Your Day Job with Rental Properties.
Hmm.
And he basically just laid it out. He did it in like, I think it was 5 years. He just started buying rental properties as a side gig while he had worked his 9 to 5, and then walked into his boss's office and said, I quit. Like literally, he was able to make enough off those rental properties. And I'm like, I got to figure out how to do this, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what just really sparked the real estate thing. Kind of just a, I wrote a whole book about this. So I have a book coming out. It's a long story, but I've done a good job putting it together to really like it's a real estate memoir. Goes through my struggles and like all the mistakes I made along the way. Um, so I won't go into all the details right here. But
Yeah.
long story short, my daughter ended up going into the Army, getting stationed at Fort Carson. We bought a second home, so it was a place that we could stay while we were visiting her. And it also became a place that she could live. And it was also, I was thinking of my grandma at the same time, like, okay, that is our first rental property. So when my daughter went to JBLM, right, she got stationed at JBLM, it instantly became our first real rental property. Now, to be to be straight, I did buy a rental property before that and sold it and did a few flips. So I did get some like experience on the real estate side, but this was the first one that I actually said, we're keeping this one. Like that was the intention. We're never going to sell it. And from that one rental property, I uncovered the BRRRR method, right?
Yep.
Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And I took a home equity line out of that rental property, bought a BRRRR, bought a fire damaged house for 180K here in the Springs, fixed it up, put a renter in there, cash flowed, refinanced, pulled all my money back out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm now I have this money to use again. And so I was still doing my corporate job, and I was just slowly like building this portfolio out here in Colorado Springs. Now, at the time, I was living in California, Silicon Valley, by the way.
Okay.
And then fast forward to 2020, uh, COVID hit. And guess what? I wasn't doing anymore traveling.
Hmm.
I could work from home. And I talked to my wife, and I'm like, Colorado's so beautiful, What if we were to rent out our house here? Like, we could always come back. We're just going to rent it out. Let's buy a new primary there, work from home, and then I can really dig into real estate, like even more than I am now. So maybe we can get there in another 10 years. That's what I was thinking. Like, we can get to the point where I can actually just quit my job and live off the rental income. And I talked her into it. We prayed about it, and that's what we did. And it just from there, like I got my real estate license. I used that to help pick up more properties. And before you know it, we had 10 rentals. I refinanced the whole portfolio, and it was that magic number that I was looking for that we could live off of comfortably. The cash flow
Nice.
on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a scary thing to quit my job, but I did it. And fast forward to today, I picked up another four rentals. I've invested in some pretty large apartment complexes in Texas. So now I've done a lot more on the investing side, but I also started my own brokerage that basically caters to helping. Really, what I'm really focusing on is helping active duty military that are stationed here start their real estate investing journey, right? Giving them the education, the things I wish I would have done when I first joined. Because when I was here, I wish I would have bought a house then and still had
Yeah.
that house today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, I don't know where I'd be right now. But, God does everything for a reason, and it all worked out. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. I own a brokerage, and we focus on helping people, buy rental properties, do house hacks, and then we also do property management. So if they PCS somewhere else, we can manage their property for them. And that's pretty much my story.
I love it, man. I love it. Man, there's so many directions we can go
I
with that
know.
story. But just keep it short, I'm curious, like what lessons did you learn from your military days and maybe even your days in tech that has transitioned and helped you transfer into, the business that you're doing now?
Well, the military definitely gave me the discipline,
Mm,
right? And that mission mindset.
mm,
that I think is really important, right? You have a mission, whether whatever it is that you're doing in life, right? And that the perseverance piece as well, because I don't care if if you're buying a rental property or doing a fixer upper, you're going to hit so many different challenges, and you just have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to pivot, but you have to get to that finish line, right? And I think that really helped as far as like in tech and management. Just I have a knack to build teams and grow companies and these types of things, which is important in real
Yeah.
estate because your team is important, your contractors that you use, right? Everything, all the different pieces, because if those aren't right, you're not going to be successful.
Did I have a sticky note on my desk here that I wrote down just the other day from my quiet time this morning or the other morning. It just says, keep going.
Keep
Just
going. Yeah.
keep going, man. That's so good. And I think, yeah, in real estate, there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of, punches across the face. And you're like,
Yeah.
man, I didn't
Yeah.
see this coming. But you're right. Yeah, just the military background and discipline to like just get up and keep on going and figure it out, right? And I mean, I know like myself, I got put into jobs in the military where I knew nothing about, whatever I was in charge of, but I was in charge of the people that were doing it, right? And I
Yeah.
just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And build that team. I think, in the military, you got to have a team around you to grow. And I think it's no different in real estate and entrepreneur world and business world. You got to have a team.
It is, and I tell young investors this all the time. Just I tell my kids this all the time too. It's like a lot of people are held back because they feel like they don't have enough experience. They don't know what they're doing. But really, the best way to learn is to jump in. Now, you don't want to die, but you got to jump. You got to jump in. You got to take some risk. You got to take some chances. That's the only way you're going to get the reward. And with real estate, what I've learned is like I've made the worst mistakes. Like I've had deals go so bad where I'm losing money,
Yeah.
but if I put enough time behind it, it ends up being a profitable investment
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. For sure, man. I love it. Speaking of investments, I ask on all of my interviews this way, what's the best investment that you've ever made?
Best investment I ever made really is my wife and I's committed relationship with God.
Mm,
And that really sets the stage with everything in our lives. Like it starts with we pray every day together. Whether anything that we're going to dive into, that's where it starts with us. So I think that you do that first, you can step through any fire. But I think if you're talking about like real estate investing, the best investment I ever made was that first home that I bought, that very first rental property where I bought it with the intention of like, okay, this is going to be a second home. I'm going to help my daughter out here. It's going to be a place for us to stay, but that is going to be our first rental and we are never going to sell it. That one property, which by the way, the home that we lived in, I bought with my VA loan. I took a HELOC to buy that second home, which became our first rental. And then that home, I took a HELOC to buy my first burr. And then from there, I just leveraged that money to build this little small empire that enabled me to quit my 9 to 5. And so that first one was the best investment I ever made. Now, did it cash flow the first year? No, I was losing money because it was our second home. I was paying a mortgage on it.
yeah,
So for the first year and a half, like I was losing money. But today it's like definitely my best investment that I have in my portfolio.
that's awesome, man. I love that your grandma was house hacking before like that was even a conversation, in most people's worlds, right? Like when did the coin like term house hacking even come along? Like not like past couple of years, right?
I mean, yeah, like it can't be more than like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it until later when it's like this whole house hacking thing started to catch on. And I'm like, my grandma was house hacking.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so good, man. Well, what about your worst investment? I know you've had a few
Oh
dingers that
man.
that hurt.
My worst investment, you know, in 20 or not 20, in 2006, December of 2006, before I bought my first rental that I held, I decided I'm gonna buy a fixer upper. I'm gonna flip a house, basically.
Okay.
And that was probably the worst time in history to flip a house
Yeah.
because by the time I closed,
Pew.
it just started going down. And I sunk so much money into to fix it up. I put it on the market and like literally I lost. When everything was said and done, I was under like $100,000. And I was just like, at that point in my life, I was like, I am never investing in real estate again. This is not for me. I'll just focus on my 9 to 5, my corporate job, and that's it. Maybe I'll invest in the stock market, but definitely not real estate.
So, I think that's a fear that a lot of people have from even getting started in real estate. So, like, from that, like, what did you learn from it? What lesson did you learn from it? And what would you like tell other people, from that experience?
I learned that if I would have
Yeah. Yeah.
just held on, because today that house is literally worth triple
Yeah.
what it was back then. And if I would have just put enough time under it, if I would have stuck a renter in there, which I didn't really even think about, right, at the time.
Mm.
But if I could have just to kind of supplement the mortgage, even though I might have been losing, $300, $400 a month, if I would have just held on till 2012, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
And so that's really, and that taught me a lot, like with everything. Is when I first started buying rental properties, the rates aren't were nowhere near where they are today. Even like today is a low rate. Like I
Yeah.
had like rental properties at 7%, pushing 8%, and I was breaking even in a lot of cases. I had a 9 to 5 though, so I was like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. The tenant's paying down the principal, which is cool. But now today, like 2022 hit, 2021 hit, and interest rates dropped, into, below 3%. And I just started, refinancing every single property I had, and instantly now they are making a ton of money each. So it's
Yeah.
just like time. Time is on your side, not to mention the appreciation piece.
Mm.
And I saw that with my grandma's duplex too. My mom and her siblings, they sold it the minute she passed away, which
Mm.
was stupid because today I just looked it up the other day, and that duplex is generating, because this is in California, Silicon Valley. That duplex is renting, each side is renting out for like $4,500 a month, which is crazy, right?
Jeez.
She bought that thing for $50,000.
Jeez.
And they sold it when she passed away for like 600,000, 500 to 600,000, which they thought, oh, this is huge, right? And it did. It was life-changing for
Yeah.
it helped them with their own retirements and whatnot. But today the place is easily worth like close to 2 million. So it's like,
Mm.
hold on, don't
That's
sell.
bonkers. Yeah. That's crazy, man. Well, if you could go back and if you could give yourself, advice when you're a 20-year-old, when you're, young and dumb and just figuring it out, what advice would you give yourself?
I really wish I would have started investing in real estate sooner, honestly. That really it has changed my life, my adult life. I work with young guys all the time, young women as well, that are just starting out in the real estate game, and they are just going to be so much further than I
Yeah.
ever could even think of. Like because one of the guys that I started this property management company with, he's actually still in the army. He's an army officer. He's about to get out though. Um, I helped him buy his fourth rental property,
Nice.
and I'm like, man, that really like, and then we ended up starting this company together. But it's just like, man, if I would have only had that mindset back then, like there's a lot of people that spend 20 plus years in the military. I have friends that, they're getting out now, retiring right now, and they have zero, nothing. Like they just bounced around from duty station to duty station and never bought anything. I helped, I helped a colonel the other day buy his first home, his first home. Like
Yeah.
after 30 years in the military, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
It's
dude, and now, like, I have some friends that got out of the military and went into kind of like, the DoD contractor world. And they're struggling right now because the government shut down and they're not getting a paycheck. And
yeah,
they might have their retirement, but like they don't have anything else, right? And they're like
yeah,
really, really concerned about where their next paycheck is going to come from because they went and probably bought like the bigger and more expensive house because they had their retirement and their cushy DoD
Yep.
government job. But, as soon as something happens, as soon as you get hurt, as soon as like layoffs happen, government shuts down, all that stuff, like you got nothing. And so,
Yeah.
man, I love your purpose. I love your mission. I love your heart for service and helping other, active duty military, like learn this and figure this stuff out, because you are making a world of difference in their lives. And man, kudos to you,
Absolutely.
man. Kudos to
Well,
you.
thank you. I mean, it's there. People don't, service members, they don't realize what they have. Like they
Yeah,
have this monthly income that's coming in while they're moving from one place to the other. They have the VA loan. You put all these things together, and it's just like
so
there's no
powerful.
reason anyone after 10 years in the military can't be a millionaire
Yeah,
from real estate, like easily.
yeah, yeah. I agree, man. Well, with just a few minutes left, within the military investor network, if you're this is you talking to the rest of the tribe and the members within the community, what would you ask from them, if you had one opportunity to ask, the members?
I think just, stay engaged, share your experiences. Let's learn from each other. Let's network. Let's put our heads together. Where two or three people are gathered together. I mean, the Bible talks about this too.
Yep.
Like miracles can happen, right?
Mm,
And if you guys share a similar background, similar, life experience, something that you've learned from that you can share with others, like let's put that all together
mm.
and let's come out with something better, right?
Love it, dude. Where do people get more information about you and what everything you got going on in there in the Springs?
Well, first off, I do have, you can find me on the socials. I am on Instagram. I don't really go on Facebook. I do have a Facebook account, but I don't really ever go on it. I use it more to just, connect with family members and stuff like that. But I am Keith Andrews on Instagram. You can also go to alphazulurealty.com to get in touch with me or one of my agents. And again, we do everything from, we could help you buy a place, sell a place, and we do property management. So if you're looking to buy anything in the Springs, if you have a property, maybe you're PCSing somewhere else or you're moving to another state and you don't want to sell and you don't want to self-manage, give us a call. Even if you want to self-manage, give us a call. We could definitely, I'd love to talk to you and give you some tips.
Love it, man. And what about your podcast? Tell us about your podcast.
Podcast, it's the Keith Andrews podcast. I originally started it off as the real estate junkie, and I wanted to be able to start, talking about things outside of real estate a little bit. Um, and I haven't been dropping them as regularly as I had wanted to, just because of the my brokerage that I started. I've just been real busy with it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's the Keith Andrews podcast. It's on every podcast platform that's out there. So look it up. You can find it. I've had some really interesting guests, mostly real estate related. But if there's you can look down the list if there's a subject that you're interested in, just click on it and you'll hear my conversation.
love it, man. Yeah, great podcast. All right, Keith, appreciate you, brother. This was
All
fun. Good
right.
to see you.
Thank
It
you.
was good to hug it out last week with you when you came up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that you started that. I think that's important. I need to get more engaged in it. I've just been Yeah, it's been a real busy time. We're like onboarding so many owners right now.
That's good.
There's like, I'm sure you heard the news with Space Command moving to Alabama and stuff. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of people that like, "Oh, what am I going to do with my home?" So they're coming to us,
good.
to help them figure that part out.
You're doing good work, dude. Keep it
All
up.
right.
Thanks, brother. See ya.
Thank you. God bless.